Hi, pal. So I got this email last week from my health insurance from Kaiser, and it was basically an invitation to an orientation for a medically managed weight loss program. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, they must, it's maybe something like everybody gets. And then I realized it's not. And it felt really not good, I think it's not like I'm not aware that I'm overweight, but seeing that it's no, it's not overweight anymore, it's in the obese category, right? The way the body mass index, all of that, we're in that category. And again, it's not even that's a huge shock, but realizing that I've been struggling with it for a while now and trying to combat it on my own, while also dealing with an autoimmune thing and just feeling so sick all the time anyway, and that it just felt defeating. I got it and was just ugh, thanks. I didn't know that it wasn't a problem, and now you're making me aware. And then I had that moment of why are you looking at this they're poking at you and telling you that you have a problem? No, it was literally an invitation to a solution. They weren't just pointing out a problem. They didn't send you a postcard that said you're fat. They sent you an invitation to a free orientation for a program that's exactly for people who don't really know how they got to this position, or are on medications that make it difficult to lose weight, or at a certain age. I'm all of those things, right? Over 30, it's just harder. After babies, it's harder. I think we all gained a bajillion pounds during COVID. When you're on medications, it's harder. When you have stress, it's hard. I'm all those things. Why does that feel like a dig as opposed to an invitation? Which is literally exactly what it was. There was a date and time on it for this orientation. It was literally an invitation. But yet my first reaction was to look at it as a put down, and it's no, this is not what it was. And it made me think of that, and I've been going to workout classes, I've been doing all the things, but I have a huge problem with sugar. I'll eat super good all day, and then I'll eat a pile of sugar at bedtime. And I remember thinking I stopped drinking months ago, and thinking that that a lot of it would come off that way, because if I'm not drinking anymore, but no, it didn't change anything. I know people that stop drinking and just immediately lose weight, right? It changed nothing. But I think I also replaced a lot of those calories with sugar, with wanting some other treat. And so yeah, it was just interesting. And I've been wanting something so bad, and I think a lot of people can relate to that idea that it's I know what to do. Okay, eat healthy, exercise, right? I get but knowledge isn't power, right? Applied knowledge is. And my application is not great. And I know that there's more to that. I know that there's more to unpack to that. I know that it's not just, I know that there's more. I know that a lot of it's just a big block in me of, willpower is the right word, whatever. Anyway, I digress. So when I got that, I again, looked at it like a dig and not a literal invitation. And then it made me laugh, because I pictured that, that old fable or whatever of the man in the boat, and he's, or he's drowning or whatever, and he's God will save me. And so somebody comes by, to try and pick him up in a boat, and he's oh no, it's good. And somebody comes by and offers him a new raft, somebody all these things, and he ends up drowning, and then gets to heaven and is God, where were you? And he's I sent a boat, I sent a, it's that. And that's what it kind of know, like, it's like, here I've been, like, really struggling with this and really, and it's like, I feel like I'll do good for a couple of days and then slide back. And it's like, it's not just, it's a battle of, like, all the things. It's the physical battle, it's an emotional battle, it's a mental battle, it's um, almost feels like it's a spiritual battle too, of like deserving this. Like, it's hard. And I was given an invitation to something that isn't digging at all of that, isn't trying to make me feel bad about that, but is validating it and saying it's hard. And it's also not uncommon. Like, these aren't special or unique issues to you. Like, it's so common that there's a damn program for it, like a medically supervised program, where you get the support from all the angles, right? Like, you get, you're monitored, physically, to make sure that like all your insides are okay. You're given the food, and it's like, these are the foods that you can eat, taking away all of the thought process and the choice and the all of that. And then you're given like a support group where you can talk to other people going through literally the same thing. And like, and it's, over these weeks, where it's like, because studies have been shown that if you do it over this amount of time, like, it's more likely to stick. Like, they weren't reminding me of a problem, they were sending me a solution. You know what I mean? And it's so amazing how, my like first thought was just like, no, that's not for me. Like, I'm not there yet. But like, yet, so like, I'm gonna just keep going down this path, and I'm not gonna accept an invitation for help until I'm sicker, until I'm bigger, until I'm more unhealthy, until it's even harder to play with my kids. Like, what? When you fill out those forms at the doctor of like, do you have a family history of this? Like, my dad's had major heart surgery in the past year. My mom has digestion issues. I have Crohn's. I mean, I get infusions every 6 weeks right now, and that's, a lifelong thing. And like, that's a condition. Like, and while that's something that's being managed and that's great and all of that, like, I'm so sick for the first couple of days after that, and I'm so drained and all of that. And it's like, okay, but like, who would I be if I was really healthy in all other regards? Like, how much would that autoimmune disease really affect me if in every other area I was really healthy, and really taking care of myself? I don't know. I don't think it would be as hard as it is. And I blame so much of my not feeling good on that. And it probably doesn't deserve it, like, it's not that complex, like, it's an autoimmune response. Like, it's its own thing. It's got its medication, it's got its treatment, but then it's also got me as the vessel, treating my body like garbage, and then beating myself up for it, which isn't helping. And then literally being, handed a life raft or a solution and being like, no, it's good, I'll wait. That's not for me. That's for like way bigger people. Like, no, it's literally for, like, you literally fall into the category. It's an automated system. Like, they go through, you're in that category. So like, you're gonna wait until you're sicker. So it's really interesting. But I was proud of myself because I did go to the orientation. It was like a Zoom thing. And I went and I listened to what they had to say, and felt like, okay, if I can just mentally get behind the fact that this is not a bad thing, that this isn't a punishment, that this wouldn't be a restriction, but more like a gift, more like the life raft, more like the invitation to connect with people that feel the same way, that are struggling in the same way, that have the same shame and issues, and that want the same things. Like, I think about it and it's like, I want, like, if I'm being really honest, I want a completely different life than the one that I have. Completely different. Not the cast. Like, the cast of characters, top notch. I love the people that are in my life. I have really great kids and partners and friends and family. Like, I really love the cast of characters that I have. But if we're looking at my life as a movie, the plot is more in the genre of like melodramatic medical drama, right? And like, I don't want to be in that movie. I don't want to play in that movie. Like, this cast of characters that I have, like, they deserve better roles than that, right? Like, I want like rom-com, silly family vacation movie inspiring, we built a zoo. Like, I want that. I want that movie. I want those lines for these people that are in it. I don't want my kids continuing to see mom deteriorate. I want my kids seeing mom like cannonballing off of a dock at a summer house in Maine. Sounds lovely, right? Like, and how lucky I am to love my cast, right? To have that piece figured out. Like, that's the heart. Like, I'm so lucky and grateful. And then the rest of it is fully in my control. Like, the plot of this is fully in my control. And right now I feel like my life is being defined by a condition, as opposed to creation. And I want to create that life. I want to give that opportunity to this cast to like really shine. And I feel like that all starts really with my health, with really taking care of myself, with really taking it seriously and letting go of the shame of it, and letting go of the thought that it's unique to me, or it's like this unknown struggle that like, oh, I just wish I had the solution. Like, the solution's, it's there. You just got invited to it. Like, take it and see what happens. So that's what I'm gonna do. In 4 months, I'm gonna have a completely different life. And part of me is like, oh, that's scary. And then part of me is like, that's the most exciting thing ever. That it's that simple. It's that decision. It's not a bunch of little decisions. It is one big decision that in 4 months I will have a completely different life than the one that I do now, because I'm choosing to, and I'm choosing to look at the things that come my way as invitations and not as pokes and prods, because they're not. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited to enter into a different genre with this cast of characters that I have and feel really good and feel comfortable in clothes and feel comfortable moving and not be so affected by the temperature, right? Like, when it's hot, oh, like, just to put down not just the weight, right, but like the weight of it, right? To get that down, to set it down, to realize that I don't have to carry it anymore, and how light that will feel and how freeing that will feel. I'm really excited about that. Feels really good. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at today, and in 4 months, totally different life. That's it. Decision made. Miss Bell, are you ready to go to work now?